Next thing you do when you meet with the customer, besides coming up with the user stories, is work on the user interface. Why? Because most SaaS applications have a user interface. There's a piece in the cloud, there's a piece on the browser typically. So what can we do to get the customer to participate like the 3x5 cards? We want to avoid the whiz-beanie user interface. Everybody knows what that is, right? The whiz-beanie user interface. That's the what I said but not what I want user interface, right? You don't want to build the user interface as far as you can tell just what the customer asked for, and then once the customer sees it, no, that's not what I want, right? So we want to avoid that thing. So what's the user interface equivalent of that? And then that's kind of, you can imagine some kind of picture that you create, like Photoshop a user interface that way. But a user interface is active, right? It's animated. Many things are going on. How do we reflect that and make it easy to change? So the answer is, you've already learned this in kindergarten. We do user interface sketches with pen and paper, or with crayons. You could do it with crayons. And you make what's called the low-fi, low-fidelity user interface. So here's one that I did. So you can see at the top of this page is Rotten Potatoes, and we're creating a new movie, and I left some blanks, some forms to fill in for the title, rating, release date, and here's a button at the bottom where they save the changes, right? So that's my sketch. That took me very little time to sketch, and we could show it, and because it's not threatening like 3x5 cards, no, that's not what I want, we could just throw the piece away or do it on a whiteboard and take pictures of it. So it's really low tech, but we can get an idea of what's going on. Okay, that's like a static one. What about this animated when you click on it? Well, once again, the user interface community came up with another good idea, which is storyboards, which they borrowed from the movie industries. You've probably all seen movies about movies where you see these storyboards like for Disney, and here's how the scene is put together. So it's like the scenes of a movie, but instead of linear like pieces of movie, we can go to anyone. So let's go look at the storyboard version of this examples. So this one is a mock-up of a page that when I click on add a new movie, this arrow says this page is supposed to pop up. That was the one I showed you before. And what happens after I save changes, it's supposed to go to this page which shows the movie being added, and then I can click back to the movies and go over there. So it's multiple of these lo-fi sketches and with some arrows to show how it works. That's storyboards. And believe it or not, with pieces of paper and storyboards and dealing with the customer, that you can help evolve at very little effort figure out what the customer wants and likes and be happy with it before you build it. So it seems kind of, a lot of work, but it's a lot less work than producing HTML. And again, not threatening, engage the customer more. After this, we talked a little bit about Haml, and Armando did talk about Cascade Style CSS. So we can make it, it's important to make it pretty, but after you figure out what they want before you make it, you don't want to make it pretty and then we throw it away. So that's the idea of lo-fi UI. And as you meet with the customers in 3x5 cards, as soon as you get some, or you get tired of talking about that, you can start talking about the user interface and the storyboards, how they would work.